See here, I've got a series of books on my desk here. These are all Napoleon Hill books except for one of them. Napoleon Hill, Law of Success, Think and Grow Rich. There's 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill's Positive Action Plan, and the newest one that you just sent me last week that I finished reading last night, Napoleon Hill is on the Air. And then you gave me a book called My Shadow Ran Fast by Bill Sands. Now, what I want to talk about for a minute, I'd like to sort of end the first half of the show. We've got 20 minutes left, and I want to get a little different now. I just said that I demonstrated to our listeners that through storytelling, you have a very wonderful way of teaching a lot of life's lessons. And I just want to share something for a minute and get into a couple things. First of all, thank you for the Napoleon Hill is on the Air book. It's a book that just came out, I think, a week ago. And anybody that wants to get any materials or get in touch with Don Green and the Napoleon Hill Foundation, I think it's NapoleonHill.com, but .org. Can you tell us how to get in touch with you and buy books?
It's NAPHIL, NAPHIL.org is the website. They can go on Amazon, like on this book, LC. It's got perfect ratings, and it's number one in a finance book. It was this morning. Already after a week, it's selling really, really well. I've had at least 15 inquiries from foreign publishers wanting to publish it already, and some of the contracts I've already worked out the details on, like China, for example. It was Steve is an old reel I found that of a radio program he did. God, many years ago, he done some in the 50s and 60s. He had a week program, and this one was in Jackson, Mississippi, and his own reel tape, which I'm thinking, gosh, this thing's brittle, it won't never play. But I got people who knew what they did, and they played it, and they converted it over to CDs. And then from the CDs, I got a court reporter hard to transcribe it into print. And I said, golly, this has got to be in a book. And Amazon's company, Grand Harbor Publishing, they've been on to me at least for a year to give them the next book. And we work with Penguin. We have about 15 books with Penguin Random House because they're the world's largest publisher. And so when I had that one available, I picked up the phone and I called them, and they said, well, we want it. Just send it to us. And we didn't even approach nobody else on it. And they treated us well, and they've it's just great information. He covers the 5 foundations for success in that series of programs, and it's been received very well.
One of the things that I read in the book, and I looked through this book today for 15 minutes. One of my desires in life is to be able to stick with people that are in hardship and help them stabilize their lives. And there was a paragraph in here where the commentator that was interviewing Napoleon Hill, he made the statement. He goes, well, Mr. Hill, when you're mentoring somebody, it sounds like you never let go of them or something to that nature. I tried to find it so I could read it on the air, but I can't. But here's what I want to get into for the next 20 minutes, if you will. I want to learn something today, Don. I'm not going to miss this opportunity to be with one of the richest sources of encouragement and information and wisdom that I could ever come across, the Napoleon Hill Foundation and you. And as you know, the goal of Right Thinking Foundation and this show, Right Thinking with Steve Copeland, is to be there to work with people that are having hardship and those that want to help them. And Don, I did a lot of meditation on this before I got you on the air today. I've reread a lot of the books that I just called out. I studied a lot this week, and I highly, highly recommend the new book, Napoleon Hill on the Air. I think that is probably a wonderful entree into knowing about Napoleon Hill, and it might inspire people to want to learn more about him. I've made a study of Napoleon Hill for 45 years. But Don, in Napoleon Hill's teachings and his system and his methods, his principles of success that we talk about, there's many rags to riches stories. where somebody goes with $1 and turns it into $12 million. But what I want to talk about, and this is a question that I want to pose to you, and in answering it, I want to tell you that my two favorite parts of the 5 basic principles of Napoleon Hill are the mastermind group and going the extra mile. But, Don, I'm going to ask you something very special of you. If we only scratch the surface today, I would love to have you, whenever your schedule permits in the future, to be my guest again to talk more about Napoleon Hill and what people need to learn from Napoleon Hill. I would love to have you come back again. I'm asking you now before we run out of time.
Yeah, I would be more than glad to. And of course, I know that your program is based on overcoming adversity, and I've read a lot, and I guess I have some good points on it. But back to your story thing, bringing up the Bible, but I believe there's 26 parables. Somebody will probably call in and say, "No, that's wrong." But I studied those, and Christ, he told stories. Who can forget the woman at the well? And so forth and so on. But I believe, if our memory is good, he never mentioned a person by name except in one of them, and that was Lazarus. I don't think a prodigal son, for example. On and on and on. He did not mention their names, but he told stories. And if you can read them one time, how could you not remember the story of the prodigal son and apply it to our day's life? So I think the stories are important. But I love the bit on adversity of what we can actually do. I never will forget. Did a fundraising in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, after the tsunami. I believe they lost about 250,000 people. And we had a fundraising thing where people, by donations, it was a large crowd held, and I think it was the Interior Minister, some politicians was there. I spoke, and there was a psychologist spoke. And he said that he was talking to some people, and said one man said to another, and said, he said, "We understand. I understand you lost everything you had." He said, "Oh no," said, "I've still got my family." And so, see, that's a part of the adversity. Things when they're going wrong is we need to be thankful for what we got and not disappointed in what we don't have. Because if we, I'm just saying, I got friends that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I could be envious of them, but I'm thankful for the good works they've done, and through the gifts and all that they've been able to do. But I could be envious, and it wouldn't do me no good whatsoever. It wouldn't change nothing, except it would change me from inside of being a person that's caring and thankful for what little I am able to do. And so I think it's an important lesson that he said. He also went ahead and said, and this guy was a psychologist, he said he had never met a depressed person that was heavily involved in helping other people. See, if I'm helping you, Steve, or helping someone else, that's one of the lessons I learned. I picked up pop bottles when I was a kid. It's penny a piece and had to be washed. You had to rinse the mud and stuff out of them going up and down the highway. If I got my brothers and I, if we got as many as 100, there's 2 of us, that'd be 50 cents a piece. That was big money. This little grocer had a sign there by the cash register where you took the bottles and you went back there and see how many you had and said, "Oh, I don't take Suncrest, or I don't take this one." Take 2 or 3 of them out. But you go up to the cash register and pay. He had a little sign, and I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. He had a little sign, I believe it's a newspaper clip, posted on the inside of the glass cage his cashier said on. It said, "I once complained because I had no shoes, until one day I met a man who had no feet." So
whoa.
It took a long time for that to sink in. But, hey, it's easy for us to be disappointed in what we don't have. But the lesson from it is, it took me a long years for it to sink in, but I never forgot the quote. We need to be thankful for what we do have rather than what we don't, because the good Lord knows better than we do. A lot of that stuff we don't need.
That's absolutely beautiful. Let me catch up with you for a minute here. We got about 19 things that you've said that I want to follow up on, but I'll try 1 or 2 of them. You're talking about quoting the Bible and parables and so forth. Well, last week I spoke a lot about my dad and my early relationship with my dad and how it took years and years to understand forgiveness. And I just want everybody to know that my dad and I talked about the show, and he absolutely loved the show. And but I want to just say this: I encourage everybody that's listening to mend any relationships that you have out there that are not right, and give forgiveness. And I don't know if I say this right, but Jesus said, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. And that's just another one of Jesus' parables that applies right now. Well, Don, let me say this. I've spent a lot of time thinking about motivational speakers, people that have this positive thinking that they can pass on to other people. Jeff Heiser's show today. Please, I've been encouraging everybody to start listening to Jeff Heiser's show, Success and Intentional Lifestyle. It's live Monday mornings at 8 o'clock, or you can get it through the archive. I called Jeff today immediately after his show. I didn't wait until I had to call to get in for my show, just to let him know I wanted to thank him for that show today. It was absolutely incredible, inspiring, and powerful. I just thank you. But Jeff and Don and many, many others that I know, we're all doing the same thing where we're just trying to make the world a better place. But what I want to tell you right now is I meet people every day. I work with people every day that are at the very, very bottom. They may be in prison. They may be homeless. They just may be out there, and they don't know what to do. I thought about it, and Don, we got 9 minutes to go here, but here's what I want to do. I want to make a statement, and then I want you to just launch on what you have to say, if you'll do that for me. And this is what we call a softball powder puff I'm going to toss at you. One of the things that Don has said, and he quoted Mark Twain to me on this. He says, if you're going to be a leader, you got to be a reader. A lot of men that go in prison, well, here's the sad fact of life. People that are down and they got to get up, they need a helping hand, but they got to take that first step. A lot of them will not take that first step. And what I was looking for in the book, Napoleon Hill on the Air, Napoleon Hill said to the interviewer, he will not let go of anybody. He will be with them all the way through to try to help them up as long as they're not violating the laws of God. And so he is not going to give up on you. I'm not, Don's not, Jeff's not. But here's the thing. Sometimes we just have to give people time. And what's sad is a lot of people need to be incarcerated. That's a common theme of people that are incarcerated, is that they thank God that they got stopped so that they could finally stop and listen and change. And so one of the things that I think is an answer that I did not have until I studied this week in preparation for my interview with you, Don, wouldn't it be wonderful that people did not have to wait till they got arrested, incarcerated, separated from society to start to read? There is so much reading that they can do that can help them change their lives. Napoleon Hill, your book. And so, Don, I would like you to talk about what can we do to help those people that are the hard ones to reach, the ones that, it's not a rags to riches story here, it could be, but Don, how do we get people that have given up on themselves? What do we do to help them find out who they are and how they can believe in themselves so they can have a better life?
Well, Steve, it's always been a mission of the foundation to do prison work. We have ongoing prison work. I went up and spoke to 50-some chaplains that covered all the prisons in the state of Ohio. We do lots of work. They purchase a lot of our books, and we have continuous correspondence. I can tell you one little short story. Several years ago, it was when Outwitting the Devil came out. I got a call from this guy, and he's a big-time radio program in Michigan. He said he would like to set up an interview for me. And I got to checking, and they are WSVN Industries, Alan Mark, and they charge. He's a marketing things, you know. He does press releases and so forth. And so I didn't question him. He said he would like to help us, and he said we set the interview up a couple 3 weeks down the road, and he interviewed me, and he said, Don, he said, now when this program's over, I need to talk to you at the end. And by the way, he did a press release on Outwitting the Devil, and it was picked up over 200 newspapers all the way across the United States, from Anchorage, Alaska, to Houston Chronicle, to the Cincinnati Encore, to the L.A. Times. They ran the interview just like it was. It was unbelievable. And, of course, the the Outwitting the Devil, the stores was out. We was getting constant calls and so forth. But at the end of the conversation,